Maido! Hi there, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to talk about prep. Listen, Master Shimasho. This is the 8th year of the Presentation Japan series podcast, and we are beaming around the world to you from sunny Minato-ku in Tokyo. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, the president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and the 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata Prezen no Tachijin. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muda ni Suru no wa Yamimashou. And my just released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery, and all are available on Amazon. Through this podcast, I want to help you become a better speaker to be 1, clear, 2, confident, 3, persuasive, 4, highly influential with those around you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on Apple Podcasts. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show podcast. Tuesday, the Presentations Japan series, and every second Tuesday, the Business Tachijin no Oshie show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series, and every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show podcast, and Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Now, this is episode number 387. Today we're talking about prepping for your presentation. I am terrible. I procrastinate about starting the assembly of my presentation. Invariably, by holding off starting, I create time tension, which forces me to elevate the priority of the presentation and lift its urgency above all the other competing demands on my time. I should start earlier and take some of that tension out of my life. So everyone, do what I say, don't do what I do. Start early. The first point of departure must be working on the clarity needed around the key message. What is the point we want to get across? There are always a multitude of these, and it is quite challenging sometimes to pick out the one we want to work on. Part of my problem is perfectionism immobilising me. So let's all suspend perfectionism and just be happy to get started, knowing we can finesse what we are doing later. Once we have settled on the key message, we need to make sure that anyone would care about that message. It might be intoxicating for us, but it may not motivate anyone else to get excited. A reality check is in order before we move forward. Will there be enough traction with the audience we are going to be presenting to? We should have a fairly clear idea about who will be interested in our topic and what some of their experiences will be. After the reality check, we start to construct the talk. Counterintuitively, we start with the end. We settle on the actual words we need for our conclusion because this is a succinct summary of what we will talk about. Getting that down to a few sentences is no easy feat. It is simple to waffle on, but it requires skill to be brief and totally on point. Next, we plan out the chapters of the talk to deliver the goods to prove what we are saying in our conclusion is true. In a 40-minute speech, we can usually get through 5 or 6 chapters. Here is a critical piece of the puzzle. We need to rehearse the talk and carefully watch the time. It is very difficult to predict accurately the required time until you run through the talk. We may find we are short on the content or too long. We need to make adjustments. We certainly don't want to discover that on stage in front of an audience. We all feel cheated when the presenter starts rushing at the end and the slides go up and come down in seconds. You simply can't follow what they are showing to the audience, and that leaves a very negative impression at the end of the talk. Now, we plan our start. This is the first impression of our talk. Well, that is not quite true. The audience will be making critical judgments as to how we command the stage and how we get underway. Juggling slides on the deck is a bad look at the start. That should definitely be left to someone else so we can get straight into our opening. Don't thank the organisers at this point. We can do that in a moment. We don't want to waste the opening with a bunch of generic bumf. We need to grab hold of our audience at this point and then never let them go. Find out more. We come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public courses, but we also do custom in-house programs. We do them in Japanese, we do them in English, we do them in our super safe classroom, and we do them live online. Our show today is being brought to you by, on the 5th of June, we'll start our Dale Carnegie course. That'll be the 12-week version. On the 6th of June, we'll have our Leadership Training for Managers program. And on the 6th and 7th of June, we'll have our High Impact Presentations course. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. Email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. If you like learning by watching videos, then we have over 2,300 there for you at Tokyo, Japan, Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's the premier business show on Japan, every Monday Tokyo time. Fridays we have the Japan Business Mastery Show, and on Saturdays we release Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from SMEs right up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Now, every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget to grab my business best-selling books on Japan on Amazon, Japan Sales Mastery, which is Saegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Presen no Tachijin. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muri ni suru wa yamemashou. And my just released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery. And all are available on Amazon. Welcome back. The audience may be seated in front of us, but they are 1,000 miles away, with their collective consciousness floating above the clouds. They are focused on everything else but us, and we have to induct them into our orbit and command their complete attention. So we need to plan this first sentence extremely well, because it will set the tone for the rest of the event. Remember that fear of loss is greater than greed for gain, so we hit them with how they can avoid losses. We might say something along these lines. It is shocking how much the change in the market is going to cost us all, and we are talking about serious money here. That start fits just about any talk, any subject, and is a bit like a Swiss Army knife of starters. The market is always changing, and invariably some will gain and others will lose. Our job is to point the audience in the direction of how to avoid losing money. The cadence of the talk is we need to tell a story every 5 minutes to keep our audience with us. Storytelling is like superglue and will bind the listeners to us until the end of our presentation. That means we need at least 5 or 6 good stories which make the point we are selling. Including people they know or know of is always good, because that technique is a great equalizer and connector with the audience. We need to prepare 2 closes. One for our formal end of the talk and another for the final close after the Q&A has ended. We need to brief the organisers that after the Q&A, we will wrap it up, and then they can bring the proceedings to a formal end. If we don't do that, they will just end the talk before we have a chance to drive in our key message for the last time. We will know if the talk has succeeded by the faces we see in the audience. If they are paying attention right through, that is a good sign. If they are nodding in agreement, that is an even better sign. And if they are engaged through the questions, then there is real interest. A sea of bored faces is not what we want to be looking at. If that happens, we really need to raise our energy and start getting the listeners physically involved. We can do this by getting them to raise their hands and answer to a question from us. Can't overdo this, or it quickly becomes manipulative and it is obvious to everyone what we are doing. But we need to raise our energy and their energy to keep them with us. So don't be like me, and instead start the prep early. Did you get value from today's show? If you did, then share the love around with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Until the next episode, go out there and apply the learnings from today and become a presentations legend amongst your circle. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week. Remember, I'm in your corner, your go-to guy for soft skills training in Tokyo, committed to your success here in Nippon.